Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the October 3rd, 2018 City Council meeting. And at this time, could I please have Pastor Glenn Bowman come forward for the opening prayer?
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you to be able to gather here. We thank you for this country that we have, and we're blessed to have elections where we get to make many choices for the people that help to make decisions. We pray that you will just bless people to have good discernment, that we will select people that will be wise and understanding and have compassion for the communities which they serve. We pray for each of us as people who live in this community that we will seek its betterment in every way that you give us ability to. We pray that you'll continue to bless us with rain and sunshine and all the good things that we know that you give so well. We pray that you'll bless this meeting, that it will go very well, and that the decisions made here will be as you want for your glory. Thank you so much. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. I'd like to call to order the October 3rd, 2018 City Council meeting. And Chief, would you lead us in Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Faria.
Here.
Johnson Santos. Here. Lewis. Here. Silvera.
Present.
Villalta.
Here, we do have a quorum. Consideration of approval of agenda. Do I have a motion? Mr. Silvera.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Mr. Faria.
Second that motion.
Motion by Silvera, second by Faria to approve the agenda as stated. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? None carried. Proclamation recognizing the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And could I please have the individuals come forward who are accepting the proclamation? Good, thank you. For you. Good, good. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome tonight. Tonight we are here for an occasion to not to celebrate an event, but to make people aware of what's happening in our community, in our county, in our state, and throughout the United States. Proclamation recognizing the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas 3 or 4 Americans know someone who has experienced domestic violence. Domestic violence affects women, men, children of all racial, ethnic, cultural, social, religious, and economic groups in the United States and here in California. The marginalization of certain groups in society, including undocumented individuals, transgender individuals, and people living with disabilities, increases their vulnerability in intimate partner violence. Whereas among families, domestic violence is the 3rd leading cause of homelessness. All victims deserve access to culturally appropriate programs and services to increase their safety and improve their life situations. Children exposed to domestic violence can experience long-term consequences, including difficulty at school, substance abuse, and serious adult health problems. We must work together to educate our community about domestic violence prevention, support survivors, and speak out against harmful attitudes and actions. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the mayor and the city council members of the city of Los Banos do hereby proclaim the month of October 2018 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month and recognize the efforts of the Valley Crisis Center Peace for Families March on Tuesday, October 16th, 2018. We urge all citizens to actively participate in scheduled activities and programs which work towards improving victim safety and hold perpetrators of domestic violence accountable for their actions against individuals and our society as a whole. So if you know someone, this community, any community that you are from if you're visiting, and you know that domestic violence is taking place, you cannot sit back. You are a mandated reporter. Everyone in this room is a mandated reporter. You'll never know whose life you saved. So with that, Chi, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you so much, Mayor and council member, for your support and recognizing domestic violence as October as Domestic Violence Month. We, for those of you that don't know, Valley Crisis Center serves Merced County, and we also serve the Los Banos area. We have an office that's right outside the door here, right on J Street, and we support individuals and their families with domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. And we definitely encourage all of you to participate and attend our Peace for Family March that's happening on Tuesday, October 16. We're going to be marching from Pacheco Park all the way down to the community center. And it's going to be starting at 5:30. All right? So we definitely encourage everybody to attend. And then also being October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we know that the #1 form of abuse is financial abuse, which is the reason why we're also holding a fundraiser all month long. If you visit our social media or our website, we are talking about how you can really support individuals to break free of financial abuse. And we're a part of the national wide campaign to end domestic violence through the All-State program, through the Purple Purse program. So please visit our website.
Thank you so much. And who do you have with you tonight? You want to introduce?
Sure. This is, of course, Laura. She's one of our Los Banos native, who is a very important person in our community, in our agency. And we have Robert here, who is also our volunteer specialist, and he is trying to reach out to the Los Banos area, trying to build leadership here as well and connections. So, and then we have Juan, who is one of our advocates over at the Valley Continuation Schools here in Los Banos. And then both of his students are here tonight to support as well. And I'm sorry, I just briefly met you guys out the door, so I can't remember your name. We have Laura and Jocelyn that's here tonight. And they created some beautiful, beautiful artwork here in support of domestic violence awareness.
Thank you so much, and I'd like to present you with this proclamation. Remember October 16th at Pacheco Park, starting at 5:30 p.m., and you're going to march to the community center, is it? Okay, all right, fantastic. Thank you for coming. Okay, goodbye. Goodbye. Thank you. Bye, girls. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much.
Hi. Thank you. Peace for pray for peace.
Public forum. Members of the public may address the city council members on any item of interest that is within the jurisdiction of the city council, which includes agenda and non-agenda items. No action will be taken on non-agenda items, and speakers are limited to a 5-minute presentation. Detailed guidelines are posted on the council chamber informational table. When you approach the podium, please state your name and city of residence. If you have a cell phone, please turn them off or place them on vibrate. Is there anyone who wishes to speak at the public forum?
My name is Brenda Latham. I'm the Dean of the Los Banos campus of Merced College. And I'm here to make sure that everyone on City Council received an invitation to our open house for our new welding technology program to take place next Tuesday, October 9th from 2 to 3 p.m. Please come by and see the newest addition to the educational landscape of Los Banos. One of the first of the industrial technology programs that we hope to bring here through Merced College. So please come by. Thank you.
Okay, and the time is?
Pardon me?
The time is when again?
It's 2 p.m. at 60 G Street, Suites A and B over at Hacienda Business Park.
And pardon me? That is on September 9th. Oh, excuse me, October 9th.
October 9th, yes.
We already missed it then. Okay, so October 9th, 2 p.m., 60 G Street, Suites A and B.
That's right, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to public forum?
Hello, I'm Dean Nelson, one of the pastors here in Los Banos. St. John's Lutheran Church has hosted a cultural and culinary event for at least the past 30 years. Our women and children dress up in costume, and we serve a wide variety of foods, from salmon mousse to Swedish meatballs and Swedish pancakes, of course, and various things, oftentimes Scandinavian, but there's a wide variety you can choose from, so you can pick what you like and not what you don't want. And we serve over 30 items, so and we've kept the ticket prices down to for the same price, I think, for over 5 years. If you'd like tickets, you can call the St. John's Lutheran church office or talk to one of our members. So we extend a Velkommen to all who share our table. We do this just once a year, so if you missed October 16th, you'll have to wait for another year. So, okay, thank you.
And I can tell you, there's way too much food.
Yes, it's all you can eat, and there's
And
a
then
lot
some.
of things.
Thank you, Pastor. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak at the public forum?
Hello, my name is Patricia McCoy of Los Banos. I am wearing two hats today. So the first one is as the chairperson of the fifth annual Los Banos Veterans Parade. It will be held on Saturday, November 3rd at 11 o'clock. We purposely do this event the week before Veterans Day because we know as a small community we are not able to compete against the larger cities. I'm really excited to share that we've gotten approved for the C-130 flyover. If anyone attended last year, you'll remember that it was a really big success and a crowd pleaser. And we have become the envy of a lot of the communities around us, so that's pretty exciting. This year's theme of the parade is We Salute You for the Army. While we honor all of our veterans, active duty and retired or the fallen, each year we have a theme, and we are now beginning each branch of the service in order of the establishment. So this year will be focused on the Army. If you know of any veterans that we can honor in our parade, please send them my direction. And you can also send me an email at losbanosveteransparade@gmail.com. So that is that hat. And then I am also here to address something as a citizen of the community. I live off of West I Street, and I pass the opposite side of the digital sign that is on Pacheco and I Street frequently because I live that direction. And my son pointed out to me how shameful that back side of the sign looked. I don't know if I have permission to bring pictures up to the, how that
Just give them
works.
to the clerk, yeah.
But I did take a picture and print it out, and the sun has so faded our beautiful logo that you can see behind the mayor here. It is so faded that you can't even tell what's on there. It is cracked. I remember when that sign was put in. On the underneath part of it, it says that we honor our veterans. And you look at that, and we get just as much traffic going from the Fresno through west side, the west, and this is the part that people are seeing. So I just wanted to draw attention to that. I don't know who or how that's earmarked on upkeep, but I have yet to see it be kept up. So I just wanted to bring that to the council's attention.
It's on our list. Okay, is there anyone else who wishes to speak at the public forum?
Hi, my name is Katie Winders, and I'm from Oakdale, California, and I am the new Valley Sierra Small Business Development Center Director. I do have some brochures. Am I allowed to bring them to you, or should I give them to Sarah here?
I'll just give them
Okay.
to Sarah. Okay.
What I wanted to do is first thank Alex for working with us. Kurt's a predecessor, so you're familiar with Kurt, as well as Stacy for all the time in assisting us in growing the program. And in the papers that I gave her there is a printout from the Small Business Development Center and the different clients that we've worked with, giving statistics on how the program has grown between 2017 and January of 2018 through the end of August. The end of September, all the data isn't booked. And I just wanted to point out some of that information. In 2017, we had a total of 4 business starts in our program. And in 2018, we have doubled that, and that's, again, just through the end of August. Jobs created for 17 were 2, this year 5. Jobs retained were 1, and now we're up to 8. A big jump was in the number of loans or equity that we're, excuse me, assisting our clients in getting. So we had a total of 6 clients. This year we're at 20 already with over 1.1 million. So that increase was 276,000 up to over 1.1 million. Number of clients counseled last year, it was 32. This year we're at 42 already, and client hours, we've gone from 200 to over 300. So I just want to thank you all for supporting our program, the Small Business Development Center. We help clients with consulting and trainings. All of our services are at no cost. We're funded by the Small Business Administration, as well as cities and counties. As far as activities that are going on, we do have 3 active Los Banos Valley Sierra consultants. Those consultants are consulting in the areas of general business, marketing, QuickBooks, finance, funding, operations, social media, so the full gamut. And we do offer a business start class that is ongoing. And next week there is a fantastic event called the Business to Business Networking event, which is in collaboration with the city. And I think Rhonda is teaching a class right now, but she's been spearheading that project. And looking forward to next year, we're going to be offering a few more things, including some courses on QuickBooks, marketing, and social media. So just want to thank you all for the time and appreciate serving the small businesses in this community.
And the, again, the workshop that's taking place is when?
The workshop that's taking place is on October 11th. It's called a business to business networking event, and that is from 9 to 12 at the Los Banos Community Center. And I can leave one of the brochures with the clerk as well.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak at the public forum? Yes.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Suzanne Palazzo, and I do live here in Los Banos. And I am the Director of Marketing at NTD Media. And we produce a 2-time Emmy-nominated television series called Dine Out Along the Road. And we are in the process of wrapping up our 6th season. And our first episode was here in Los Banos for our 6th season. And being a Los Banos resident, I was very excited to be able to do that here with our team. And we highlighted Wool Growers, Eddie's Cafe, Hot City Barbecue, our own Los Banos native, Paul Leffler, and Paraiso Brewery, and the Milliken Museum. And on Monday, we had a wonderful VIP preview party hosted at Wool Growers. And it was just a wonderful success. And we previewed the episode that is coming out on October 13th. I just want to thank Mike Villalta and Deborah Lewis for attending, and John Cates as well, and Tony Dutra, who came and provided us some coverage. I'm very excited about this, and our episode will be released October 13th on KMPH Channel 26 and the CW at 5 p.m. So we are in prime time, and I encourage everybody to tell your friends, your family, your neighbors, to please tune in and watch us. And we're going to bring some people to Los Banos from this. And I thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to public forum? Yes.
I'm Elaine Corey from Los Banos, and I'd like to address the PBID survey that was sent out to property owners of the downtown area. I think it was entirely too vague. There was no date for when the deadline for returning the survey was. And I'd like to ask that you resubmit that to everyone and extend it out for at least 30 days, 35 days, allowing 5 days for mail time, to give out-of-town people ample time to inquire and to return a survey. They can't very well vote on something they don't understand that really hasn't been put out there and explained. And I think all the explanations need to be in writing, not a few phone calls to a few select persons. Also would like some guidelines of what votes are going to count and how. I mean, there's approximately 63 properties involved. There's 22 local owners or 29 local owners and 22 out-of-town owners, for a total of 51 actuals, but 63 APN numbers. Are they going to count by the property owners? Are they going to count by the APN numbers? Or are they going to count by the square footage? There needs to be something said there of how they're going to count the votes and when and how they're going to be done. I mean, the public should know about this. And then it needs to be addressed, who decides what's exempt from the square footage that's going to be included? Even the vacant buildings are going to benefit if something is done. Just because they're vacant now doesn't mean they're always going to be vacant. They could apply for a grant to upgrade them. So all square footage should be included. Nothing should be exempt. And then the other thing that I think is the donation that was made on the 5th of September. It indicated that it was made for the revitalization project. Can't be. Revitalization, PBID does not exist. It was made to the Downtown Merchants Association to be used for whatever they choose, not for the revitalization of downtown. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
All right. I would urge you to, Stacey, is this come under economic development, or is this going to come under the Sharon Silva? Is she going to be answering these questions?
No, it would be.
Hang on. There you go.
After the September 5th meeting, staff did say that we would be responding back to the city council with the next steps. So the informal survey was just the very first preliminary, just to see if property owners were interested. And so
Okay.
we'll be reporting back to the city
Okay.
council.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak at the public forum? Last chance. Okay, we'll now close the public forum. And let's move on to item number 11. Oh no, where am I? Scott, you told me you wanted to get out of here quickly, but I can't go that fast. I'm sorry. All right, let's go on to item 7. Consideration of approval of consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be voted on in one motion unless removed from the consent agenda by a city council member. And tonight we have...
Tonight's items on the consent agenda are as follows. Warrant numbers 212587 to 212807 in the amount of $1,756,429.88. Minutes for the September 19th, 2018 City Council meeting. City Council Resolution Number 6013, adopting a revised budget for the fiscal year 2018-2019 as it pertains to increasing expenditures in the amount of $20,000 for the Fire Department Vehicle Repair and Maintenance account. City Council Resolution Number 6014, authorizing the purchase of employment practices liability insurance and adopting a revised budget for the 2018-2019 fiscal year as it pertains to expenditures in the amount of $60,199.34. City Council Resolution Number 6015, approving closure of non-essential city offices on December 24, 26, and 31, 2018, and the items are to be approved as submitted.
Thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to remove a city council, an agenda item for discussion? Not seeing or hearing anyone, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through E? Mr. Freya, would you buzz in?
It was left on.
Oh, okay, let's go to Mrs. Santos.
Thank you. I'd like to approve the agenda as stated.
Mrs. Silvera.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Santos, second by Silvera to approve the consent agenda as stated. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Presentation regarding the Merced County Continuum of Care. And before I announce the individuals here tonight to talk about that, I'd like to introduce Chief Breezy, and Chief Breezy is going to introduce her.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Several months ago, council had a discussion about the continuum of care and our ongoing efforts to battle and combat issues surrounding homelessness in Merced County. Well, tonight I'm very pleased to present to you a representative from what we call the collaborative applicant for the continuum of care. Michelle Rose, the Deputy Director for the Human Service Agency of Merced County. And she is going to provide a presentation, so I don't want to say a lot about it, other than I want to say that Pastor Hammond and I are one of 14 members of the Continuum of Care that represents Merced County. And since my inauguration, if you will, in March, I have had nothing but fantastic things to say about Michelle and the other HSA staff that have taken over the duties as the collaborative applicant. They have been very forthcoming. They have been really on the ball as it relates to all of the things collaborative applicant related. So I'm really impressed with them, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you tonight Michelle Rowe. Michelle?
Thank you very much for having me. Good evening, Mayor, council members, department heads, and members of the public. I'm Michelle Rowe, Deputy Director of Administrative Services for the Merced County Human Services Agency. I am a representative of the collaborative applicant for the Merced City and County Continuum of Care. In 2009, a law was passed known as the HEART Act, which set the parameters establishing the official continuum of care infrastructure. The COC was operating prior to the law being granted in a different capacity. The Merced City and County Continuum of Care is a body made up of 14 members currently. Those members represent nonprofit organizations, city and county government entities, school systems, religious organizations, health entities, realtors, and law enforcement. Chief Breezy and Pastor Hammond are representatives from the Los Banos community on the Continuum of Care Board. The collaborative applicant is the administrative support and the legal financial entity for the Continuum of Care. The collaborative applicant was originally held by the Merced County Associations of Government. Once MCAG was no longer able to continue in that role, it was transferred to the United Way of Merced County. The United Way held that role for approximately 2 years. As of May 1st, 2018, the Merced County Human Services Agency was declared the collaborative applicant by both the Continuum of Care and the Merced County Board of Supervisors. We currently have 1 full-time analyst, part-time fiscal manager, deputy director, as well as the agency director providing direct support to the Continuum of Care for oversight. Our area of responsibilities include applying for funding available for homeless services from HUD, HCD, HCFC, which are all state and federal agencies, monitoring of all subrecipients, providing administrative structure and support to the Continuum of Care and the subrecipients. The collaborative applicant receives the following funding to support the operations, which is primarily for staff time and consultant services. Approximately $140,000 annually is received. About $60,000 is received from HUD services, $38,000 from the City of Merced, $40,000 from Merced County Behavioral Health and Recovery Services. We also have 2 new funding sources coming in this year that I'll talk about in a moment that is looking at giving about 5% of those dollars can be used for administrative services. Any Other dollars are covered by our host agency, being Merced County Human Services Agency. There is approximately 2.5 staff to 3 staff at any one time providing supportive services to the overall continuum of care. Money the collaborative applicant is able to apply for on behalf of the continuum of care is approximately $4.5 to $5 million for this year. It includes the following funds: California Emergency Solutions Housing Grant, which is known as CESH, is approximately $2 million. $1.9 million has been identified for direct services in the entire county, as well as 5% to administrative services. Homeless Emergency Aid Program, which is HEAP, it's also another grant, new opportunity. It's approximately $1.4 million, and 5% of that would be kept for administrative services. There's the Emergency Solutions Grant, known as ESG. That brought in $300,000 plus a required match of additional $300,000 for a total of $600,000. And then we have the Housing and Urban Development HUD grant for $750,000 plus its required match will be about $1 million coming in for a total of the $5 million to the entire county. The collaborative applicant is also responsible for the coordinated entry system, which is the process in which all homeless individuals are screened and entered into the Homeless Management Information System known as HMIS. Access points for the CES services in Los Banos community is the Bethel Church. Additional access points includes the Human Services Agency, Behavioral Health and Recovery Services, and the D Street Shelter in Merced. The lead of the CES is currently Rashana Johnson from the Human Services Agency. She is operating this program on our behalf of the collaborative applicant. Services in Los Banos community include the Merced County Human Services Agency, as we provide a full service including children's services, adults, eligibility, and employment and training services from our 3 different locations here in town. We also offer housing support and CalWorks homeless services from our F Street location. We will be relocating these offices after the first of the year into the San Luis Plaza. That will be relocating our eligibility services and our employment services, which is the homeless portion as well. They will relocate into that location, providing one continuous service. And then in our F Street location across from the fairgrounds, we will continue our children's and our adult services there. Sierra Savings Grace also provides homeless services, which includes temporary and permanent housing, case management services, and they are here at least once a week on the west side. Behavioral Health and Recovery Services provides Project Hope Westside, which is an apartment complex providing supportive services, as well as Turning Point provides permanent and supportive housing services throughout Merced County. We are in the process of opening a new center called New Directions, which is an outreach and engagement center primarily driven by the County of Merced, who will be working with the cities, counties, and nonprofit providers to provide overall homeless services throughout the entire county. It is their anticipation to provide direct services on the west side at least 2 days a week. This service should roll out shortly within a few months, as the center will be opening to the public on October 15th. The collaborative applicant has the following upcoming goals: to submit the California Emergency Solutions Housing Grant and the Homeless Emergency Aid Program's HEAP funding applications. We will also be responsible for monitoring all program recipients for, again, HCD, HUD, and HCFC requirements on behalf of the continuum of care. We have implemented required reporting for each committee and subcommittee and continue to refine these reports. We are working with the Homeless Management Information System, HMIS providers, to strengthen the use of the HMIS system. We are continuing to strengthen and redefine the coordinated entry system process, and we are working with updating our 10-year plan and are assisting in developing a long-term sustainability plan for the collaborative applicant's function. This concludes my presentation. It has been an honor to be here with you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to assist in answering those.
Before I ask the council if they have any questions, can I have Pastor Hammond come up? And he's going to tell us more about the local services in Los Banos. Don't go anywhere.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. It's a privilege to speak on this subject. It's very dear to my heart. We've been working on this for a long time. We had a great meeting today over in Merced with the Continuum Care Board, and some great reports of things coming up. And I agree with Chief Breezy that since HSA has taken over as a collaborative applicant, they are on the ball. And they have very qualified and passionate people working for us, and things are moving much faster than they have before. And so we currently, with our services we provide at Bethel, we have every Friday, Golden Valley has 2 nurses that comes out to specifically for homeless services. Also, the homeless outreach workers from Sarah Saving Grace come out. And also John Checkley, I don't know if you know him, but you need to meet this guy. He's an amazing man. Veteran. He has a team, HSA, Behavioral Health, and 2 or 3 other entities that come out, and they're coming out weekly to start outreach efforts, and start at Bethel, and then they go out and we kind of help coordinate, and they met with Chief and to coordinate where the different places where they gather are, so they can go out and outreach to them. And so we're very, very active in pursuing our homeless to outreach to them and try to provide avenues. Now, obviously, there's always some that we just met with one yesterday, just doesn't want any services, but we're going to continue to maintain that relationship with that person, because one day she will, and that's been our experience. We feed them, love on them, and connect with them every day. And when they reach that place where they need service, when they're ready to get off the streets, we're there for them. We help connect them with the amazing team being built through the continuum of care. And so we are also, I just want to let you know, because I know this is very important to the council, we're also seeing more activity on the west side, Los Banos, Dos Palace, than we have since the continuum was formed. We were reformed about 4 years ago, is that correct, I think about 4 years ago with this new capacity, and there's been increased efforts, but now at this point in time, there's more services, more effort happening on this side of the county than there ever has been before, and that's because of the amazing people that's come together to form the continuum.
And you don't know how good I feel about that, because, we've always felt like the stepchild and the orphan on the west side.
Right.
And I'm sure you and I have shared that.
Sure, we feel left out.
And if we're not left out, what we want is our homeless population. Number one, we don't want it to increase.
Right.
And number two, the people that actually need the homeless services, we want to be a partner with the HSA. I don't know of anyone on this council that doesn't want to do it, because it makes for a better community for us.
Right.
And so I'm going to allow, I want the council members to make comments, but we all have our different stories about what should be done with homeless and how homeless should be helped, and the experiences we've had with them. Sometimes you get a bad rap for the 3 or 4 that really need mental health services that are causing the problems in this town.
Right.
And thanks to the effort of Chief Breezy, we've been able to get some help for those individuals. And now some of the complaints that we get are not as frequent, I will say. And it's due to all this, because, homelessness, as we talked, Pastor, it's because of broken relationships. It's because of mental illness. It's because of bipolar. It's because of drug use. We can go on and on. And how can we help these individuals? What can we do? What can we do as a community to work together? What can we do as a county to work together? And the Ministerial Association, of which we're going to talk about later. Right. So I think we all want to be part of this. We all want to help. And we want to stretch your dollars. I think that's probably the most important thing that we want to talk about, is stretching your dollars with volunteerism and whatever we can do to within our budget to help. So I think that's why you're here, and I think that's why we're here, because it is a problem and we want to help. So I want to allow the council to talk, and I have people that want to speak here. Mr. Silvera?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Pastor Steve, thank you for your service on that board. I know that's not a paid position. That's a position that you do from the goodness of your heart. And so first off, thank you. And thank you, Chief Breezy, for being a good representative on that board from the city of Los Banos. This issue, as you guys are probably well aware, is near and dear to my heart. It's something that I feel like that we should have participated in all along, and we didn't for a while, and I'm hoping that the council sees their way back to that. But I got a few questions for you, Michelle. When you talked about in your presentation that there's some grants that we go after, that there's matching funds, where do those matching funds come from?
So those matching funds are provided by the vendor who is the subrecipient who is providing the service. They are required to get their own matching funds. There are often other grants that they can apply for as the match, but they do not come from, they would be private sector.
Okay, very good. So I guess where I'm going with it is I know that an issue and part of the reason why the year that I didn't support our funds going to Continuum of Care was that we felt like that we weren't getting a good bang for our buck, and that's the bottom line. We felt like we weren't getting services here on the west side, and my eyes have been opened up to a lot more. I just last Monday, I met with Michelle and a lot of her other colleagues, all the director and the deputy director of HSA. And one of the things that I'm really excited about Continuum of Care being under the purview of your guys' department now is one of the things that you'll find about them. They're a big department. When I say big, I'll share the number. $780 million worth of money flows through their departments under HSA. And the one of the really great things about it is the fine ladies that are the deputy directors, as well as the director of the department, they meet on a regular basis. They pick up, they make it seamless because a person's problems don't stop with just one agency. Their problem may come across 3 agencies. And when at 3 different subsections of the agency, if you will, three different sub-departments, and the amount of being able to work. And so when you talk about homeless and behavioral health issues, they all collaborate not only within their own organization, but with other organizations. So I'm excited for you guys to be on board. And I know that the ultimate goal is it's going to be at HSA for a while, but it's to get it up and running and kind of get all the bugs worked out of it, and then hopefully at some point allow it to become its standalone agency. And I think that's what everybody's goal is in game. So I want to thank you. This is something that I asked for. I do know that I only have a few more meetings here on the council in Las Banos, and then I'll be moving on to being at the county. And it's my goal and my effort for those services to be continued to be offered, not only in Las Banos, but Dos Palos, Gustine, Santa Anela, to keep those services and trying to, what I like to say, break down that imaginary wall that runs along the San Joaquin River. Look at ourselves as a whole county and not as an east side versus a west side county. So I hope that the council sees fit to, because let's be real, folks, the $12,000 that is, it's really going to go to good use. $12,000 is a lot of money to an individual. I feel like in a city budget of over $40 million, it's not a huge amount, and it is as much ceremonial as it is going to be going to good use. It is saying that as Las Banos that we want to participate in the solution. We want to be in a leadership role. And one of the things that I don't know how it could happen, but if that's the case and it's Merced City and County Continuum of Care, if we could look at a name that it encompasses, because when you read that name just at a glance, people look at it as the county and then Merced City. But if the folks over here in Las Banos are contributing their taxpayer dollars to it too, if we could look at a name that maybe encompasses everybody. So, Michelle, I want to say keep up the good work, and I look forward to the results that are going to be coming out of it. And if these grants, ultimately we got to apply for grants. We'll see what those grants are. Do we get them? They're competitive grants, but I know that there is a push at the state legislature, at the federal legislature, to really start addressing some of these homeless issues, and not only just trying to put a Band-Aid on it, but trying to address some of the underlying issues that are causing folks to be homeless. So hopefully we can get those, and we can finally get this Continuum of Care doing the good things that I think it needs to be doing. So thank you for being here this evening.
So tonight, you're not coming here for a request for funds. Tonight was just a presentation.
Correct.
And then we can come back and if that's the direction we want to go, you can meet with our city manager and we can talk more, and then come back for a second presentation. We can talk about, what we can or cannot do.
Perfect.
Okay?
I was coming just to present informational information.
We know.
And I appreciate that.
And thank you so much. And I will tell you, it's a special effort. If we're going to participate with funds in this city, it's a special effort for our citizens, our community, because this comes directly out of our general fund. The other two people that are contributing, they have grant money that comes out of, like the city and the county, and it's not out of their general fund. And so for us, it comes directly out of the money that we use for the operating budget of the city of Los Banos. So when we, if we're going to give money, it's from the heart. It's from exactly what we're doing, because we have a number of requests where people come to us. Well, it's only $5,000. You should give us $5,000. You should give us $10,000. And everybody knows that we can't do that. And we have to be very selective if we have a few dollars that we're going to make sure we get the most bang for our buck. And I think, things have changed. And as Scott said, at one time we didn't contribute because we didn't feel we were getting services. Now, I think it's a whole new day. We have people from our city that are here that can keep an eye, and then we can become one county by everyone working together to help us. So that's why I think we're so impressed, and we're happy that you came this evening.
Thank you for having me.
So let me go on to Mr. Freya.
Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight. Thanks for Chief Breezy, and thanks Pastor Hammond. Pastor Hammond's been working on this homeless issue for a long time. City gave the rescue mission money years ago, and it was extremely efficiently used. And so, we're living, when you live your commitments and you live your faith, that's very commendable. The questions I had, first, do we have percentage breakdowns, particularly in Los Banos, of what the homeless, how many are mentally ill, how many are drug abuse problems, how many are families with children that are out on the road, so to speak, and then how many are just folks that are just down on their luck, and then how many are those? There's a handful we know that they're perfectly content being homeless. There's not very many, but that's their life, and how do you deal with that issue? But those are a small percentage from my experience. My experience, what I've seen and heard and watched, is mental illness and drug abuse. And I have long lamented California's withdrawing of mental health funds, which started many, many years ago. I was a child when they cut back the funding for mental health. And because many of these people, they just need help. They need a place to be protected. They need a place where they can be safe. They can very easily hurt themselves along with other people. But if they're in a safe environment for them and for everyone around them, I think that is true success. So I don't know if you have those numbers. If you don't, I'd love if you can get a chance to get them to us. I appreciate that. The second thing is, are these grants, are they renewable, or is each one just a one-time grant that you're getting?
To address the numbers of the population that are homeless in the community, I will go back and get that information and be able to present that back to the board.
Thank you.
On the dollars, so the HEAP dollars, which is the Housing Emergency Aid Program, that is a one-time pot of money from the state general fund. It's the $1.4 million. That we have until 2021 to fully expend that. They are planning to honor the grants that are applied for within 30 days. Then you go through an RFP process for services, and then dollars will start to roll out to the community immediately to get services rolling. So they're meant to be a very fast, quick process.
Thank you.
And they're meant for very much immediate need homeless services, not long-term resolution. So could be things such as restrooms in public areas, public parks, showers, food, clothing services, backpacks that are filled with hygiene products, stuff like that. They're really for a quick hit emergency need. That dollars will go away in 2021. We have until then to expend them. The California Emergency Solutions Grant, which is the $2 million grant, that is the new SB2 dollars as well as the state ESG funding. So the SB2 dollars are a one-time pot of money. We have 5 years to RFP that. Within a year's period of time, the dollars have to be RFP'd, and then we have 4 years basically after that to actually get the dollars fully expended. Those dollars come with very strict targets. So whatever we have identified, if we have identified for a pot of money to serve a specific number of clients, population, it is, you have to hit that target. So if we say we're going to spend, serve 50 people for $500,000, we must spend and serve that amount dollar for dollar, kind of tied to the person. And then those dollars, like I said, we have 5 years for those dollars completely. The emergency solution grants are an every year application and are usually for continued programs. So we've seen them renewed each time. And the same thing with the HUD funding. They're again a 1 year grant, and they have about 18 months to actually expend those funds once they're awarded from HUD and HCD, and they're renewable each year.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate all you're doing, worthy and noteworthy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I want to thank you as well for coming today, and to our chief and Pastor Hammond for the work that they do with your committee. I think Councilman Faria asked the questions that I was interested in, and I'm hoping that you will come back again to us soon and be able to present that and maybe have an overhead projection so that our community can see just how these grants will affect the county as well as Los Banos in helping the people that are homeless. I just want to, one of the things that I'd like to ask is, in helping people and training them and working with them, and as Pastor Hammond said, hopefully to get them to come off the street at some point and to go into housing. While they're not doing that, is there any part of what you will be doing and maybe in the grants that you will be receiving to help them understand about the disposal of debris that they just leave throughout communities? And I think that's probably one of the most unsightly things that people from any community would have concerned about. And, for 20 plus, about 20 years of the last part of my career, which was, some 14 plus years ago, I worked as a conservator in Santa Clara County with the mentally ill. Things were a lot different then. And as a conservator, you look at cases differently because the court has given you the authority to take away a person's right and force them into treatment. But as the courts go today, less people are in mental health treatment than ever before. And there are less beds because back in the early 60s, late 50s, our state administration then were responsible for the laws to close up the mental institutions. And then there was another governor that was responsible for carrying out that act. And a lot of people blame that on that particular governor, but it wasn't his fault for doing that. But that's beside the point. I just like to make that clear because everybody wants to blame one person for doing it. But I'd like to know, is there going to be any kind of grant money to help them learn how to dispose of all the debris, old clothing that they can't use anymore? And is there money in that grant to provide the receptacles for them to dispose of things like that? It certainly would help, our communities within Merced County to be able to have people not see that and complain to council members, to department heads and such about things that they see in the community that could be not only unsightly but unhealthy for people that are in the community. So that's one question I have in regards to the program that you're offering here.
So on the HEAP funding, actually, we had a meeting this morning. We had an open public forum that allowed individuals to come in and provide direction and insight on how they wanted to see these dollars funded. And then one portion of that was direct services, which included like your public restrooms, your public showers, not recycle bins, but containers for the individuals to be able to store their items in, because currently you see all kinds of things that carry around their property that they have. So those were some of the recommendations that were brought forward. I will make sure that this gets back to the COC board to also add as one of the items to that service delivery category. And they put about $800,000 to that service category today. So potentially it could help bring that solution to a variety of areas.
Yeah. And again, I appreciate what your organization is doing. And certainly one of the most difficult things is to compel people to try to come in. And even as a former conservator, there were many people that we had that were conserved and who just refused to go in. And they lived under bridges And it wasn't that they didn't have the money to come in. Some of them were our veterans who received healthy monthly income, but they just couldn't. And I know that there's a certain population of them that are like that today. And I know that as time has progressed, that mental health has gone from generational mental health, from family member to family member, to now mostly drug abuse within our communities. So there are a myriad of reasons why people are homeless, but to try to help them come in and to try to help them become productive people in society is an awesome task. And so I applaud your organization for beginning the work, and we'll look forward to seeing what progresses, and look forward to getting that information back to the council, and we'll see what we can do based on, the mayor has said that whatever we could do, if we could do anything, is going to come from the general fund. But it is important because we have been the stepchild for a very long time, and people have come and made promises to Los Banos, and it's all been a bunch of rhetoric and words. And so now, as a part of this council, I'm looking for action. And when I see action, then, I can come on board and be a part of what's happening. So thank you again for coming and making the presentation, and I'm looking forward to your efforts. And thank you, Pastor Hammond, and thank you to our chief.
Thank you. May I add? So you mentioned about teaching the individuals on how to kind of prevent the homelessness or get back and reacclimated to society. I will say in all of the sessions we've had, both on the SESH, the HEAP, and the regular funding that we get on a regular basis, the providers have talked so much about case management, being very intensive case management. That's why New Directions was also developed, and they brought in Turning Point to help oversee the case management and do a lot of one-on-ones, as well as educating the volunteers that are working with it, because it's all about building the rapport with the individuals to get them to trust you, to even let you in to any portion of their aspects. So
And that case management is very important on every aspect, because it didn't happen these things didn't happen to their lives overnight. And a lot of times, there's fear involved, and where they are has become comfortable, and to reacclimate into society and try to find a job can be very difficult for people who have lived out in the world on their own without resources, trying to figure out how they're going to make the next day work. So it could be just as frightening to them as it can be to some people in the community to see the things that are happening. So it's more than just getting them in a place to sleep. There's a lot of rehab that has to happen for people who have drug abuses, and for families that have just fallen on hard times. There's a lot involved into helping a person rehab and becoming a part of society again. So again, I applaud you for your efforts, and thank you for coming and making your presentation.
thank you very much.
How closely do we work with the hospital, say here in town? Because the comments that come back to me are, number one, is that throughout the county we don't have well, they used to call it a flight deck, where you know what I'm talking about, where people would with mental illness problems or drug abuse problems, they're using our emergency room, and then they're there, and then they're released back in without any type of follow-up. So is there a possibility of getting some kind of center where someone, at least if they come in for some type of abuse or need some mental health services, that there's some way that instead of these individuals just coming back and back again, that we're providing some kind of help for them, other than maybe bringing them down and then releasing them again, and then they just go on their merry way?
I'm not sure if this will answer the question 100%, but there was discussion today about one of the entities has a mobile health clinic. And so they've asked for monies to be put aside for capital improvements to bring that up to current needs in order to be able to go out and serve the community in those fashions with those that are homeless. Both serving medical and dental was a huge request of the group today. So there's that approach to try and take towards it. And then also circling back, I can circle back with behavioral health and see how they connect with, the hospitals, and then can report that back.
Because we have a warming and cooling shelter. Okay, we have those, and the last report that was given to me, anywhere from $600 to $800 a night, because we have to provide security, we have, we provide the building, we provide the heating, the cooling, everything, whatever it is, and you can't just stick volunteers in an area and say, okay, you have volunteers and with no security. So the city of Los Banos, when we do this, we do it right with fire and police on 24-hour call and for emergency medical services, whatever we need. But all that costs money. And people say, well, how come you don't have that open 365 days a year? Well, multiply $600 a day times 365, and that's kind of what you get. And that's a healthy chunk out of our budget. So I don't know. I'm hoping that some plan will come out of all these meetings, and we are more hopeful than we've ever been, thank you, to solve the problem of homelessness. And I asked Steve to Pastor Hammond to come up tonight because, we get the comments, all of us on this council, that we're not doing enough for homeless. And we want to do more, but we also want to reunite people with their families, and not just a place where a warm meal is important, a cot is important. We all know that a change of clothes and a shower is important, but sustaining that lifestyle on the street is not the goal of any of us. So please come back and let us know how we can be a better partner and what we can do in our community. In fact, all the communities, I challenge all the communities to take a step forward in this. And so we thank you both for coming here this evening. And yes. Okay. Oh, did you press a button? Yeah. I don't see your name. Oh, now I see your name. Okay. And so yes, please come back. And thank you to every council member up here tonight. And because we're all going to take part in this because we really want to solve it, and we're not sweeping it under the rug. And like I said, we're very happy that our chief is involved, Pastor Hammond's involved, and you are here, and we see great hope for this. Thank you. Mrs. Santos.
Thank you very much, and I do appreciate, I want to echo my thanks as well for coming here and also being a part of this. So I just want to say I'm very happy to see this, have you coming back and presenting this to us is something that I have to also say is near and dear to me. And I completely agree with Scott. When he originally brought this up to have this presentation come back, I was like, let's go for it. So I feel that the 12,000 some money that we need to be a part of this is a very small amount to pay for all the good that it can do. And I wasn't here on the initial decision of when we, decided to not join this. But with the openness of what it sounds like our council today to wanting to be a part of this is attributed to what your agency is doing. So thank you once again for that. So just want to say I am excited about this. I would love to see it coming. It's near and dear. I mean, I have to say when me and my family were in the Bay Area, churches were the large thing we relied on, and just also services like that. So I would love to see this come back, and as soon as possible, if I can say that. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. So I'm assuming that you'll be in contact with our city manager, and we can talk, and we'll see where we're going to go with this.
Thank you
Okay?
again very much.
Thank you.
It's a
Thank you
pleasure.
both for coming. Thank you. Chief?
Mr. Mayor, if I can make one more comment.
Yes.
Just to show you the depth to which our community is involved with this issue, you discussed the idea of the hospital and mental health issues, behavioral health issues. Mm-hmm. So that is a subset almost of what I'll call it a subset of the homelessness issue. And I can tell you that we meet regularly between behavioral health, other law enforcement jurisdictions and our local hospital, the CEO of our hospital, we meet on a monthly basis just to go over different problems that we're experiencing to make sure that we're expediting and being as efficient and effective as we can as it relates to service providing towards mental health issues. But that's a little bit different than the homelessness issue. And so we segment that out a little bit, but it's just a component of the larger mental health can be a component of the homelessness issue. But I just wanted to come up and tell you that we are working on that with the hospital, but that's a little bit different than this homelessness effort with the COC. But there's a lot of moving parts to all of this, and we're engaged in every part that we can be, because the police department, the fire department, there's a lot of cause and effect of that. We're spending a lot of our time, a lot of our days battling homelessness, mental health issues. So I just want you all to know that we're in the trenches fighting this fight every day as often as we can. So,
And I know for a fact that, because how many times we've spoken, and the people that you and I both get calls on, and I'm sure the other council members, we've truly tried to help them. And it's not by helping them by locking them up. It's helping them by trying to get them the services that they need, because some of these individuals are truly in need of mental health services. And I'm trying to be as polite as I can in my comments, but there is a definite need for some kind of psychiatric treatment. And we've tried to help with that, and I appreciate what you're doing too.
So my last comment for the night is, and I apologize for taking so much time, is in the COC world, if we're a dog pound, I'm just a puppy. Steve, Michelle, others around in that group are big dogs. I'm just sitting here learning, getting my feet wet. So I appreciate all their efforts. I appreciate the kind comments towards me, but really they all go towards the COC board members that were here long before I was. So thank you very much.
Okay, we expect a bulldog now. All right? All right, any parting shots from anyone? Any comments? Okay, we've covered that subject, and I think it was very productive tonight, so thank you all. All right, let's go on to presentation by the Tree Commission, and I see the green shirt people here.
Thank you very much, Mayor, City Council members, city staff, and the public. Wow, it's a large group of people here. It's quality. It may not be quantity, but it's quality. Thank you. I am part of the Tree Commission, one of 5 members. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But we've been around, or it has been around, first as a committee or a commission for about 30 years. And this is the first time that I can remember that an actual report has been made to the City Council. So it's somewhat overdue. And it's a simple reason to be here. It's to stress the continuing importance of trees to the committee today and in the future. And I know all of you understand that and respect that, but sometimes it's good to just understand how important it is and what's involved in taking care of the trees here in our city. So I think Mayor Mike has ability to punch a button to get something going, and thank you, Chief Hurley. If I need help, Chief, you can help me push this button? Yes. Okay, thank you. So I want to thank, first of all, one of our Tree Commission members, Stephanie Rubio, for getting these shirts for us. Brenda would have brought hers too, but it's somewhere. And Commission members, Colleen Menifee and Stephen Creighton would be here if they could, but they can't. They expressed their wishes to do so. I also want to thank Brenda, because when I first created this PowerPoint, working with Mark Fachin and others, and when we showed it to the Tree Commission at the last commission meeting, it had none of this beautiful stuff, artistic stuff. So those of you who know me, I've lived here for 47 years, know that I have zero artistic talent. So I want to thank Brenda. She's the one who has made this presentation artistic. So what is the Tree Commission? It's an official commission of the city dedicated to advocating for trees as an essential element in Los Banos' quality of life. I think everybody believes in the importance of quality of life. Why do we continue to live here? Because we believe that Los Banos has a certain quality of life. We could move to places like San Francisco or Chicago, but we love Los Banos because of the quality of life. And trees are a really important part of it. They provide beauty, shade, and clean air. The Tree Commission helps create vibrant Arbor Days. Many of you, I think probably all of you at one point or another, have been to one of our Arbor Days over the many years. It helps Los Banos continue to be a Tree City USA, which I think we're all very proud of. And in order to be a tree city, there needs to be a tree committee or tree commission, and we are proud to serve that function. And of course, we particularly like to celebrate and educate and inspire people. The more trees we can plant and nurture and maintain, I think the better community we have, especially as it continues to grow. It started as a tree committee in 1988, so it's been 30 years since this group has been around. The original members include some people you may know, some still alive and some deceased. Colleen Menifee continues to be a member after all these years. Tom Calligan has been a member for a long time, recently left us on the committee. And Barbara Mello, a committee member for a long time. And then two deceased members, Bob Edminster and Susan Spivak, who many of you know. I knew Susan pretty well. In fact, that's the reason that I'm a member of the Tree Commission, is that somehow I feel her pushing me, still after her death in 1999. It became a Tree Commission in 2014, I believe under Mayor Mike Villalta. And so thank you for making us from an informal committee to a true and official
And the
commission.
council. Yes.
Of course,
Thank
the
you.
council. How many of you were here in 2014? I lose track. Scott was here. Tom was here. Okay, Deborah was here. Yeah, good.
A majority of the council.
Majority was, and I know if Veronica was here, she would have been all in favor of this too. So thank you, council and Mayor Mike, for doing that. I focus on the mayor because I'm looking right at him, so for better or worse, that's what happens. Commissioners are appointed by the city council, and we're interviewed by them. They select us. We're officially sworn in, and we serve a 2-year term that we can serve again. I don't think there's an official term limit, but some of us realize there are times that it's time to leave. Like, for example, when my term is up this time, it's time for me to go. It's 20 years that I've served either the Parks and Recreation Commission or the Tree Commission, so I think it's time to have some younger people step in, and I'm really glad with people like Stephanie and particularly, Brenda's young too, but Stephanie's really young compared to me, and I'm really glad to see, and I'm hoping more young people become involved in this because trees are just so darn important. So who's on the Tree Commission now? So Brenda is our chair, does a superb job. It's great to have the dean of the Los Banos campus, a place that's dear to my heart. Nice to have a dean as a chair. Stephanie is our vice chair, does a very fine job of that. And Steve Creighton, Colleen Menifee, and me. Within the city structure, the Tree Commission sends recommendations, if we have any, to the Parks and Recreation Commission, which in turn can forward to the city council if they like. The staff to the Tree Commission includes the amazing Mark Fachin, who continues to encourage us, sometimes wonder about us, but always encourages us. We're glad to have Joe Heim as a new support team member of the staff, and of course Tricia Nelson, who does a fine job of organizing us and writing minutes as though we have a very organized meeting. Among the past accomplishments, the Tree Committee/Commission helped establish the Arbor Day celebration, which I think is the best Arbor Day celebration in Merced County, and maybe, the best Arbor Day celebration far and wide. It helped Los Banos become a Tree City USA. I think all of us are proud of that. We've educated the committee on proper tree selection, planting, and maintenance of trees. when we first started, it was so common for people to top trees and for them to die. And I think people have learned to prune correctly. Our own city staff does a fine job of pruning as a model. We helped create a list of trees with working with city staff appropriate for residences, streets, and parking lots, so that if you're a developer and you're building houses, then trees go with it. You know the trees that are appropriate for that. And if you're a business and you are under the appropriate ordinance, you know what proper trees go with parking lots, and the city staff knows what works well with on streets. We help with grants that enable trees to be planted along the canal and rail trail, and anybody who's gone on either of those know how wonderful it is. The canal trail is especially dear to my heart. I was there when those little trees were planted, and now they're just tremendous. And we've recommended an ordinance passed by the city council regarding the minimum number of residential trees. Once upon a time, some of you may remember this. Veronica, as a younger member, you may not, but a developer could build a house and not plant a tree. And an ordinance says if you're going to build a house, you need, with certain exceptions, to plant 2 trees. And that has made such a difference in residential areas. And the other one that we're really proud of, the business shade trees. Every time I see a new business come in and trees are planted so that the result is when the trees mature, 50% of the parking spaces are shaded, I'm thinking, oh, that is so wonderful. That has made such a huge difference in our community. Would you agree, Brenda and Stephanie? Yes. Yes, okay. I told them they would have a part in this presentation. And you can see the result of the fact that businesses now in their parking lots need those trees. It's such a big difference. Have you ever been to a town where there isn't an ordinance like that? It is. You can get despondent very quickly. So what does the Tree Commission currently do? We help with Arbor Day. We encourage the city to enforce commercial landscape upkeep, which they do a fine job. Folks like Mark make sure that the city staff does that, which we appreciate. Continue to help update the tree list. We keep updated on tree planting and pruning and removal. Mark always points out when PG&E informs them that certain trees have to be trimmed down because of power lines, or when we have to thin trees to reduce the bird population or for their own safety, because occasionally trees do have to be thinned. And to continue to educate and encourage the people of the community on the value of trees.
Dr. Spiak?
My time's up?
No.
Oh.
You have brought up an important point.
Yes,
because
please. Oh, and by the way, I said, please interrupt whenever you want to. Yes, Mayor.
we get comments because, and I'll give you the exact location. It was at the Arts Center, the Old Catholic Church, and PG&E came in and said, we have to trim this tree our way, and they trimmed it. And I can't tell you how many phone calls we received saying the city butchered those trees. And so I talked to Mark and hopefully, we can get kind of the message across, because PG&E trims to expose the wires. We trim to expose the beauty of the tree.
Exactly.
And never the two shall meet.
Right, and that's exactly true. And I've talked to friends of mine who've had private trees near power lines, and they've also felt bad about it, but it's PG&E has to do that, prevent liability for.
Yep, right.
Yeah.
So please let people know that,
Yeah, and what I like about Mark and the staff and Paul before and Joe Souza before him and Joe now is that they really bring this to our attention. So if there's any questions, we can say, yeah, we know about it. It makes sense. Not to worry. We wish we could do certain things better, like with PG&E, but that's the way it goes. So. This is an interesting slide, and I worked with Mike O'Brien, also known as OB, and others, to say, well, what exactly is the status of trees right now? What do we have that involves trees? Well, first of all, the city currently has 42 parks, and that's, again, a commendation to the city council and city councils prior that made sure we had enough parks for our community. When I first moved into the city in 1971, we had a certain number of parks. The parks that we've built since then have been just amazing. And anybody who, in every community, every part, every neighborhood, there's usually a large or small park that people take pride in. But that means there's a lot of trees in those parks, which are good, and it requires a lot of maintenance. This is amazing. Just city trees, not residential trees. There are an estimated 30,000 trees in the city, in parks, trails, basins, and street right-of-ways that the city staff have to keep up with. And that's a tribute to the city for all those being planted. It's also an indication of how much is involved in keeping these trees up. And the city staff prunes about 3,500 trees each year, which is very important. Anybody who knows anything about trees know proper pruning is critical for their survival, as well as their beauty. About 30 to 50 trees each year have to be removed because they've either reached their age limit or they're diseased. Interestingly enough, the drought itself did not take away a lot of those trees. Some of the trees in Los Banos, like the old Modesto ash, have a lifespan that many of them have exceeded. And it's, again, a tribute to the city for having a proper irrigation to keep the trees alive. About 30 to 50 new trees are planted to replace the ones that are removed, not always in the same location. And then it's a real tribute to the city's park maintenance staff because it consists of only 9 full-time employees to take care not only of the trees, of course, but all the parks, the maintenance of parks that go with that. Current tree challenges, including the drought. It's a real challenge to keep trees alive when rain doesn't come. New state regulations. There's all kinds of regulations coming in that city and city staff have to deal with. The need to thin trees as necessary and yet keep the beauty of trees going. The continued need to replace diseased or dying trees. And this is an important one, a continued need as the city populations grow to plant new trees. And with all that, we know that in today's world, there is limited funding in the budget, but I encourage the council to continue as every year comes by and every budget comes up to remember how important parks are and how important trees are to the city's quality of life and to every resident. Tree Commission will continue to work with the Parks and Recreation Commission, City Council, emphasize to the community the urgent importance of trees, educate the community on the proper maintenance of trees, and work with city staff to review current ordinances involving trees and find the best ways to plant and maintain trees. Thank you for your support for the entire council, and incidentally, Mayor Mike, to make things fair, since I overpraised him before. Thanks to our city manager, he's very supportive. Thanks especially to Mark. Thanks in advance to Joe, because I know he'll be helpful. Any questions?
Any questions of Dr. Spivak?
So my last thought is, next time the budget comes around and things look a little tight, remember how important trees are, not only to plant them, but to maintain them, to fertilize them, and so forth. Thanks again.
Thank you, Dr. Spivak, for coming. And thank you both for also attending this evening, and Brenda for putting together the slideshow. Okay, let's go on to item 10, public hearing. If you challenge a proposed action described herein in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing described herein or in written correspondence delivered to the city at or prior to the public hearing. Item 10A, public hearing. To receive public comment, consideration, and adoption of ordinance to establish a regulation of processing of accessory buildings and structures, shade canopies, patio covers, sheds, carports, and other outbuildings or structures in the low-density and medium-density residential zoning districts R1 and R2. And we're going to 10A1, ordinance number 1164, amending Article 18, Chapter 3 of Title 9 of the Los Banos Municipal Court, adding Article 44 to Chapter 3, Title 9, relating to accessory buildings and structures. And we're going to our Community and Economic Development Director, Director Elms, for a presentation that she's given, I don't know how many times so far.
Multiple. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. So I will keep this brief tonight as this is the second reading of this particular ordinance. The purpose of the ordinance, which the mayor read for the record, the purpose of the proposed ordinance is to establish standards to regulate attached and detached accessory buildings and structures in the low-density and medium-density zoning districts. Back on September 19th, 2018, the Los Banos City Council waived the first reading and introduced ordinance number 1164 by title. And staff is requesting that the City Council open the public hearing and close the public hearing and waive the second reading and adopt ordinance number 1164 by title. That concludes my presentation. However, if the council has any questions on the ordinance, I did go through it in quite a bit of detail back on September 19th, but I'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
Council, any additional questions at this time? All right. We do have a public hearing. So at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing on ordinance number 1164. Anyone wish to speak? Not seeing or hearing anyone, I will now close the public hearing, bring it back to council level for a vote. And do I have a person who would like to make a motion? Mrs. Lewis?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to waive the second reading of ordinance number 1164 as read by title.
Mrs. Santos?
Second.
Motion by Lewis, second by Santos to waive the second reading. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Let's go back to Mrs. Lewis.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 1164 as read by title.
Okay, Mrs. Santos?
Second.
Okay, motion by Lewis, second by Santos to adopt ordinance number 1164. And we have a roll call vote.
Maria?
Yes.
Johnson Santos?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Silvera?
Yes.
Villalta?
Yes. And again, a real testament to all who put this together and from where it started and in our conclusion tonight. Thank you all. Okay, motion passes unanimously. All right. Let's go on to notice and announcement of vacancies on the following commissions. Airport Advisory Commission, 3 vacancies. Economic Development Advisory Commission, 3 vacancies. Parks and Recreation Commission, 3 vacancies. Planning Commission, 4 vacancies. Tree Commission, 2 vacancies. And Measure P Committee, 2 vacancies. And do we have the order of assistance with council members, with the mayor and the department head for these?
We're gonna address that meeting in December.
Okay, all right. So this is just a notice of announcement and no action to be taken, correct?
No action.
Okay, all right. So if you want to apply for any of these positions, please do so. And if you see we have vacancies, we have returning members who can be reappointed or not be reappointed based on if they'd like to serve again. So we have a number of positions open, and I would like to invite the public that when the applications open up, if you would so like to help with our community and serve our community, please volunteer for one of these commissions. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's go on to item 12, advisement of public notices, and we have 3 reports. Director Elms.
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Mayor. So the first item is a site plan review, a tentative parcel map, and a conditional use permit for Halfordy Development Company. This is for the development of a 10,195 square foot commercial shopping center at the southeast corner of Overland and Mercy Springs Road. Also that night, the Planning Commission will be considering a categorical exemption from the California Environmental Quality Act. The next item is a conditional use permit for Type 41 alcohol license. This is for a Type 41 alcohol license for the on sale of beer and wine in conjunction with a bona fide eating place for Round Table Pizza located at 1462 Mercy Springs Road. And then the last public hearing item will be a revision of an existing conditional use permit for Paraiso Brewery located at 80 West G Street, Suites C and D, as they are expanding their operations. These public hearings will be held on Wednesday, October 10th at 7 p.m. here in the council chambers. And should anybody have any questions, please contact the Community and Economic Development Department. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Let's go on to item 13, City Manager, Mr. Terrazas.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll leave more specific comments to the council, but just want to thank the staff for a hugely successful Salute to Seniors event. The event was emceed by our very own Fire Chief, Mason Hurley. Nice job, Mason. And again, thanks to all the staff who helped put that together. And did want to acknowledge, we are planning a more formal introduction. And Joe, I think we have scheduled a half-hour presentation and bio for you at an upcoming meeting. I'm kidding. But just acknowledge one of our newest staff persons, Joe Heim. He's our Parks and Recreation Operations Manager. Looking forward to great things from Joe. Welcome, and we'll be doing a more formal introduction at an upcoming meeting. That's it, Mayor.
He's not kidding. It's 30 minutes. No. Welcome, Joe. Okay. Let's go on to item 14, City Council member reports. And tonight we'll start with Mr. Faria.
Thank you, Mayor. Lots going on. Peace for Families and Smorgasbord the same evening. And we've got the business networking October 11th. And looking forward to seeing the Dine Out Along the Road on television soon. And I'm very pleased with all this wonderful stuff. Open house for the college's industrial program, and that's going to be at G Street, October 9th, and that's in the afternoon at 2 to 3. Then I would like, if we could, over the next meeting or two, maybe if we can get an idea of how we're progressing on our various industrial recruitment, industrial park out there, how that's progressing at the end of Mercy Springs. We get asked a lot of questions about that. And also in industrial recruitment, I know we just hired the recruitment firm not too long ago, but if we can get a little update to see if we have any interest, to see how things are going. Thanks.
Thank you. Hey, let's go on to Mrs. Santos.
Thank you very much. So I went to my first safety meeting at Westside Elementary School and made me feel like I had been out of school for quite some time. So I want to thank Westside Elementary and Margarita Ordunes for allowing me to attend. I learned a lot and it's pretty interesting. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Mrs. Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank Mrs. Palazzo for being so gracious to make sure that Los Banos is on the map and making sure that this dining out along the road program, the first season of this year is hosting Los Banos. And the presentation that we saw the other night was absolutely fabulous and just a real uptake for Los Banos. So thank you again for doing that. And I too am looking forward to the presentation on television, and I hope our community watches that. And, you know, maybe we can get something on one of our leaderboards to just let the community know. Alex, you know, I think we have free advertisement on the one at the community center. I don't know if we can get anything on the main one on the highway, but it would be really nice so that the community can know and look forward to watching that. So thank you again for taking care of that. Again, I just want to do another reminder of the Peace for Families, which is our annual March and community gathering on October 16th at 5:30 p.m. at Pacheco Park. And last year was the first time that we marched from Pacheco Park to the community center, and the event was, I think, a lot better because it was indoors, and it allowed people to speak about the issues and being heard. And we had several organizations there with their tables set up for services that are offered in Merced County. So it's a very good event, and I'd like to encourage the community to come out and participate. You know, I have to say that domestic violence knows no income, no ethnic, and no gender. It's across the board. Doesn't matter if you're poor or if you're rich. domestic violence can happen. Doesn't matter if you're female or male, domestic violence can happen to you. So this organization has done a wonderful job to help people in our community, and I applaud them for what they do. And lastly, I'd like to make an announcement about an alternative to the door-to-door trick-or-treating on the 31st. And this would be for the entire family, not just for children. And on October 31st, from 5:30 to 8 p.m., there will be a Harvest Fest held at 821 West L Street in Los Banos. And there will be raffles, prizes such as bicycles, gift cards, and more, carnival games, food courts. The fire truck from our fire department is always there. Cakewalk and candy and many other things. So please bring your family out and enjoy the time. It's always been great. The community loves it, and the children have a lot of fun. So I hope members from the community will come out and bring their families to this October Fest on October 31st, 5:30 p.m. at 821 West L Street in Los Banos. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Silvera.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, the only thing I wanted to report on tonight is two of our local residents, Dave Afonso and Manuel Pereira. They just returned this evening from the honor flight. They landed in Fresno. I want to say it was probably right around 7 o'clock this evening, 6:30, 7 o'clock this evening. And I was hoping to get out of here in time to make a reception for them this evening at Andy Clark's house. I don't know her exact address. It's on Monte Vista across the street from me. She asked me to invite the council members if you guys wanted to come by. So you guys are invited to come by and say hello and give two veterans that awesome welcome home. So that's all I have for this evening.
Fantastic. Okay, we'll try and shorten a little bit. Okay. Well, this weekend, we have probably the second biggest event in town, the Tomato Fest. And that's happening at the Merced County, the Spring Fair Fairgrounds here in Los Banos. And it's always a good event. We get a good crowd, and everything tomato will be there. So if you wish to have another family outing this weekend on October 6th, come to the Tomato Fest. Great event, and I think it's on till, I think, 7 o'clock at night, somewhere around there. Okay, thank you, Chief. About 7 p.m. And so some of us will be there with booze and booth. I didn't say what a.
Yes, you did, Mayor. It's what it sounded like to me.
BOOTH.
Okay.
Booth. Okay. All right, let's move on, all right? Yay. So anyway, please come out for the Tomato Fest this weekend. A lot of fun, a lot of good food, a lot of fried green tomatoes. So the Vets Parade, we have another meeting before the Vets Parade, but it's not too early to start announcing it now. And that will be November 3rd. And it's always, Los Banos has been wise to have it on a day other than Veterans Day, because then we can get all the other people participating that want to have it on Veterans Day, where everyone wants to participate, and it kind of thins where the parades are. But by Los Banos making a decision years ago to have it on a different day before Veterans Day, we're able to have a lot more participation. So please attend. The parade will be downtown, and great event. Katie Winters, Small Business Development Center. October 11th, we're going to have a business-to-business conference. That's local merchants buying from local merchants. And I think it's been overlooked for a long time, and we need to see what's out there, what kind of services we can offer each other. The salute to seniors. You know, that's like an event. I know, Joe, you've only been here, but is it like 30-something years, 38 years? 34 years. 34 years of an event to salute to seniors. And I think we need to do as much as we possibly can. The individuals who decided to locate to our community, and the bus that was brought over from Merced this year. So it's not just a local event, it's a county event, and a number of people attended, had a great crowd. Mason, thank you for emceeing. Good job. The two chiefs alternate every year, and some deserving people received awards. So as we get up there in years, and we look forward to that day. So thank you all, the people who put it on, and the partnership with the City of Los Banos. City of Los Banos wants to be partners. They want to be partners with events, and if we can, and it's within our scope, and we can actually do it. We have a new recreation person, a new director of our services, so don't hesitate to contact him. With that, let's see, did I miss anything here? Oh, St. John's Church, the smorgasbord. Believe me, very good food, very good food. And the Suzanne, thank you for the event. It was very, very nice. The video that's out there makes you so hungry with all that food that's being displayed. And the day of that event, the night before that event, I had breakfast at Eddie's, and I had lunch or dinner at Wool Growers, and Hot City Barbecue has the best ribs, and Paraiso Brewery has great. I eat pizza there all the time. They have these little personal pizzas, and they are excellent. So you know, there are a bunch of us on this council that can really tell you where all the good food is, and because I think we all eat it, and so try out these local restaurants. These were only a few that were mentioned and were highlighted, but excellent food. So with that, conference with legal counsel number 15, anticipated litigation, significant exposure litigation pursuant to paragraph 2, subdivision D of section 54956.9 of the Government Code, 90-day notice to violations and intent to file suit under the Resource Conservation and Recovery from the California River Watch dated September 3rd, 2018. And item B, public employee annual performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code section 54957, title City Manager. If there's anything to report, we will report out after closed session. Thank you and have a nice evening.